You know, people go, oh, that guy's got a Ferrari. Yeah, he's got a $3,000 a month payment. I could have a Ferrari too.
Right. You see the liability.
What that Ferrari does for that guy is it makes him feel bigger where he's small. You know what I'm saying? Our lives aren't great in business. We have adversity. We have challenges. We have shit we go through. We have so many things that we deal with on a daily basis. Hey, guys, welcome back. Intrepidus Podcast, episode 23. We're actually going to do something a little bit different today. Most of you always get to hear from our guests. Today, Anthony and myself are going to answer some questions that we put together about business. So episode 23, we're going to talk about resilience, adaptability, and the risk muscle, evolving mindsets in business.
Thanks, Dan. We had a lot of good reviews about just us chopping it up, so I'm glad to get back on the mic with you.
Yes, sir.
So tell me a little bit, because, you know, you've been in business for a while, and, you know, this morning I had this thought, and it was about risk. And at what point, you know, does it become easier to take risks because you have taken so many risks, or is it just that now you more educated and you have more influence and understanding of the risk that you're taking, therefore it makes it easier?
So I think a lot of times when you're early on in business and you take risks, you do it based on emotion. And you get excited about something. You don't really analyze it. You don't look into it, but you get excited about it because it seems good, it feels good, but you don't really know what's there. And I believe over time in business, what I found, at least for myself, was like when there's a business idea, you really want to dig into it, look at the situation, look at it as a whole, and just kind of analyze what you're doing. And you know that the bigger risk coming down the pipeline is obviously going to be something that's going to be of more significance, a larger transaction, a bigger business opportunity, whatever it is. But I think that we need those failures in the beginning, and we need those trials in the beginning to help us and prepare us for these big transactions. But it does become easier. The transaction doesn't become easier, but I think making the decision becomes easier because you now know what to look for. You know how to identify certain things that may trigger a good or bad deal. And it makes the opportunity that much greater because you've already invested your time in kind of doing your due diligence. So I'll give you an example. My son's like looking at buying a company, and, you know, it sounds exciting, the numbers sound good and all that. And, you know, an offer was accepted, but at the same time, now it's time we sign an NDA and we're going to look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the company. Let's see what's there, because talk is cheap. And
sure is.
I think in the beginning process, if I was a virgin to this, with him being a virgin to it, oh, we got to make a move. Oh, we got to make a decision. Oh, we got to close this deal. Oh, we got to do this now. And everyone, no. You know, we always feel like we're going to lose or miss out on something if we don't take action. But oftentimes that's the opposite effect. When you go into something so blindly and, you know, not knowing what to expect, ultimately you become paralyzed and you could lose a ton of money.
Right. So it's like for that age-old saying, haste makes waste, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, you know, exactly what you just said, right? You took the time to analyze, and maybe when in the very beginning you take this risk on before analyzing everything from start to finish. Hey, what is the worst case scenario and outcome? What is the best case scenario and outcome? And weigh those differences and say, okay, this is worth the risk. Whereas 10 years down the line, you know, they say that's in the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. 10 years down the line, what would you look at differently from the first day that you maybe got offered the opportunity, right? Because opportunity is only an opportunity in retrospect, and today it exists as a risk.
Yeah. So what I would look at is obviously my return. I think when you get older and more matured in business, you kind of look at your return on your investment. And I think that's the biggest thing, because even some people don't understand. They look at the dollar amount of what maybe the company's generating annually, but they don't realize how much money's in the pocket. So I was talking before, there's these guys that I met yesterday. They did $5 million in business last year, but they got no money in their pocket. So to them, they got a $5 million company, but they're broke, right? So to everybody else in the world, when they have these conversations, sitting at the bar, sitting at a restaurant, sitting on vacation, whatever it is, oh, we did $5 million. These guys are heroes, right? So I made a couple stupid business decisions throughout life. One of them, I invested in a clothing company. And my first decision was smart. I invested $25,000 for a $50,000 return. And it worked out well. It was a 12-month deal. I got my money back. And then after I got my money back, I was asked to open up a second location and invest $75,000 in a $150,000 partnership. And little did I know that I trusted this individual already because they did a good transaction. So I didn't look too deep into the next transaction and what was really going on. Come to find out, not only me, but another guy who was actually like a semi-pro basketball player, he invested $75,000 as well. We were both told that we were both 50% partners with the owner, but both of us invested in, and we both had kind of like secondary roles. So there was 3 people involved in this. The original owner didn't put anything into it. He shut the doors. We had no idea about it. Took all the inventory, and it was just kind of like, hey, business is business. So I'm a huge believer in, like, listen, that shit's gonna come back and bite them in the ass. So the way I look at it is, like, I just kind of went on. Yeah, it sucks. I took a $75,000 hit. It is what it is. This was probably, I don't know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. A couple years ago, I dropped a $15,000 investment into a company, and I saw the guy's business plan. I saw what he was doing. I gave him, and there was work lined up, and everything was good. And then I just realized it was a bad idea because this guy had money that he never had before. And instead of maybe investing it in a business like he was supposed to, he was using it personally and doing other things. And then all of a sudden that business closes down. So I've lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars in transactions over time. But you know what to do so you're not losing millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
So when you look at bigger things, I think those smaller opportunities, $75,000 would crush people. But for me, it was like, not that it wasn't a lot of money, but it was gone. What was I going to do? Now I got to work and get it back. The same thing with 15 grand. 15 grand is a lot of money. I don't care if someone makes $1 million a week. 15 grand is a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I think the average person can't fathom the fact that, like, that's a learning experience. Mm-hmm. And now it's transactional that, like, hey, here's what I did. Here's what I shouldn't do. What can I do different next time versus it paralyzing the average person?
Right, and taking that risk on $15,000 is probably puts you in a better situation to assess that $75,000 risk down the line. Yeah. Where, so if someone's jumping in for the first time, $75,000, it is a lot of money, right? It's over the median salary.
Yeah.
In the United States. Yeah. So to risk $75,000 in one shot is probably a big deal, but. What did come first? The 75,000.
The 75 was first, but the way I looked at it was like
it was
only really 50 grand, right? Because I invested 25, got 25 back, so I got 50, and I had to put another 25 in, so I lost 50,000. But essentially my profit as well, which was 75,000. But
wasn't that a scam for a while? It's almost like equivalent to hustling somebody on a pool table, where they say, it's $10, they'll lose the $10, and then the next time it's $100, and now you gave them the $100.
Yeah. It was, like I said, I trusted in the person, and they opened up to me, and we were transactional, and we saw stuff, and we were in a store. But when I did that second business, I just kind of did it on a limb, signed a piece of paper, and was like, yeah, I'm giving you this money, and I'm going to own
haphazard.
Just it's kind of like being a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, let's work together and figure it out later. It's not like I just met the guy on the street. But, when I called him, I'm like, yo, dude, what's going on? He's like, you know what? You win some, you lose some. I'll never forget that. And he's going to get punched in his face one day by somebody, not me. I'm just saying, like, because if that's your attitude and that's what you do, something's going to happen in your life that's going to smack you so hard, and it's because of what you did.
You're going to do it to the wrong person.
Exactly.
And then you never know what the outcome is going to be. Yeah. Being overly confident in yourself has its downfalls.
100%.
Right? And that's one of them. What else?
So I think that talking about confidence, people don't realize that, when you're confident in the right areas of your life, you allow yourself to have substantial growth. But when you're cocky in certain areas of your life, you kind of like, you hit this high and then you crash at this low. So this is something that your body and your mind and everything in business like starts to develop over time. I think a lot of people, when they're in their early stages of business, they're very cocky. Like you're making some money, you got a new car, you can go on vacation, and you're paying for dinners that you never paid for before, and you want to flash it, you want to be cocky. And I think like we're talking about, stupid transactional things before. These kids today are watching these influencers on, Instagram and TikTok and like, yo, $20,000 down, you can own your first rental house and teach me how. And these guys are like taking their money. They're taking their investment, and the guys are realizing they can't afford it because they're making it look so easily affordable. And then these guys, default, and those guys are, inheriting all those properties.
What do they say? They say those that can't do teach, right?
Exactly.
And then we have all these educational models coming out and people spending thousands of dollars of their hard-earned money. Some people saving for, a year, 2 years just to take this course.
Yeah.
And then just to find out that the course is a sham altogether. It's fucking sad is what it is. It really is.
It's
How do you identify then? How do you identify the good mentors and coaches versus, the shams of the
So I think you got to kind of look at the beginning stages of somebody and then kind of see where they are. Then you got to see what they're basically telling you, teaching you, and what they're developing. So I think this is an important thing. When I hired my business coach, I went to an event and I don't know, probably 9 or 10 people spoke on stage. 7 of them were his clients. So they started at here, ended up here. Now they're training on stage. So that's a real success story. That's someone who's done it, walked the walk, someone who's been able to implement what he's been able to deliver, and that helps you believe in it. But then you got these other people who, like, you go to events and they have all these high caliber people there that are there for the money. They're charging so much money to go to an event, and here's how much money we made. So I just went to an event in Arizona, and it's like cultish, like. All these guys get involved. And I went out there to see somebody. I didn't go out there based on the event and what the event was going to bring. I went out there to see somebody. And all the talk I hear in the background is, how much money was made, how much money was sold, and all this stuff. But it shouldn't be about that. It should be like, all right, here's the lives I've changed and here's what I've done. Right. And when people start getting in front of the room and they start talking about, the most important thing in the world to me is money and money and money and money, like, that shit gets old.
It does.
And I'm not going to lie. Listen, when I was younger and, in my early 20s and I was making money and I had money and I was able to do things and buy things that I maybe never thought I would as a kid, yeah, I was fucking blowing money left and right. I wasn't popping bottles. I was just buying dumb shit. But my ass got humbled real quick in 2006 when the economy crashed and the money was gone and I had all these bills that I had to figure out how I was going to pay. So I think, later on in life, I went through that experience, and I think a lot of us do. Like, when you experience something that you haven't done before, you feel good about yourself, and you kind of, like, forget where you came from. So now, like, the person I am today is back, reverse. The person I was 20 years ago, just, like, a little bit more knowledgeable, a little bit more different, but I still remain the same person I was because I knew that as soon as I changed my identity before, my world crashed in front of me.
That's why I think it's so important to get a mentor early on in your entrepreneurial journey, right? Because if you had that somebody that was like, Dan, don't spend all your damn money, save it, invest it here, do this, be a little bit more humble, who's in a position that you wanted to be in 10 years from that time, pre-2006, then you probably would be in a much different position today.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things where, you tell your kid, do this, do that, do this. And luckily you have one that listens to you. Little Dan listens, right? But, the rest of us, probably including yourself, they say, oh, yeah, what do you know about life, right? To your parents. Yeah. But little did we know at that time, they know quite a bit.
So the role to mental toughness is overcoming those challenges and becoming better and helping yourself, having a resilient mindset. But what I challenge even the young viewers to do, or even someone who's in, like, let's say their early 30s, going into their 40s, go drive by an apartment building complex, and here's what you're going to be surprised to see. BMWs, Audis, all these crazy ass fucking cars, because people live on image, but they got an apartment. They got a townhouse. They don't have a house. So people want to go out there and express themselves to identify in this place, and they're going to do everything they can, but they're going to sacrifice everything else just so they could have that new car, so they could have those new sneakers. And oftentimes it's those people. When you go to all super wealthy people's houses, don't be surprised that you're going to walk into their front door and they're wearing a ripped sweatshirt, or like a pair of basketball jeans. You look at me on the weekend and you think I'm a bum. But at the end of the day, it's because like I don't need to impress myself. I don't need to buy $100 sweatpants. I think I got a couple pairs of sweatpants that I wear on the weekends. The entire crotch is ripped out. I don't care. No one's laying down or looking at them, but they still do the job, right? And it's just the way that we think, and the whole world has become that. Oh, let me see what I can have, because if I have this is what people see me as,
right.
But that's not really who I am.
My real life clout.
Yeah,
I mean, like when the first 7 years that I was building Solar Medics,
I remember your car.
You do. That's what I was getting at. You never gave me shit about the Kia Forte. I used to roll up in the shipbox 2012 Kia Forte with 100 shit. I still have that car, 155,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
I refuse to get rid of it. Got me through some tough times, right? But you, out of everyone that I was hanging out with at the time and, building relationships with, you never gave me shit about it. You never said, oh, you should change your car, you should upgrade, you're making money now. You never said that once. But, you realize, and then not until about 2 years ago, I shifted my mindset and got rid of all the dead weight, the people who were judgmental about my appearance or what I was driving, like as if they could afford anything better anyway. Yeah. It wasn't until then that I realized, wow, those people were just, they were just looking for clout, just like anybody else. They want to drive a nice car just to say they drive the BMW, and they want to have a nice house just so they could say they have a nice house and invite people over. But quite honestly, they were living paycheck to paycheck, and they were empty inside. Hey guys, quick interruption to the show. Please don't forget to follow us and like us.
You can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Hit that like button. We appreciate the algorithm. Thanks, guys.
Love you guys.
Yeah, so like being in the background of construction industry, I see all these guys in construction. They got the brand new vans, the brand new trucks. They want to look good on the road. These things get beat to shit, So I would always buy like used stuff. For a number of years, I'm driving around a Kia Soul, a 2011 Kia Soul. It's wrapped with my company logo.
Hamsters,
I look like a gorilla getting out of this thing. But listen, man, that thing was getting $18 to fill up the tank.
I remember the Kia Soul.
It?
Yeah.
$18 to fill up the tank. And it was stick shift. It was fun to drive. And it was just something that was reliable, and I didn't need to make an impression. And what I realized was like, this car is going to stand out. Everyone's got a rat van. Everyone's got a pickup truck. What do I do to identify to make myself different? People got the Mini Coopers wrapped. They got all them little cars wrapped. And I just said, this car is cheap. I paid, I don't know, $5,000-$6,000. I drove it for 10 years. I ended up donating it to some dude that needed a car. He was driving a motorcycle around in the snow. I felt bad. I was like, yo, you can just have this car.
Motorcyclist, no.
But I just think people, and we all do it, like even when you were younger, probably too, like the car that you maybe had, your second car, your third car, it wasn't a shitty car. It was probably a little bit nicer, and I did the same thing. I remember my first car payment. I was like, oh man, that's great. I can't wait to have a new car. And I got the car payment. I'm like, yeah, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, because it wasn't paid off, and I had to pay back then. I don't know. It was $300 a month for a new car. Now it's like $3,000. Who knows? It's crazy what cars cost. But being able to like have something today at my age, and you're coming up in age, but you're still far behind me.
Don't age me.
Being able to come up today and know that like I don't have a $8,000 mortgage. I don't have a $2,000 car payment. People go, oh, that guy's got a Ferrari. Yeah, he's got a $3,000 a month payment. I could have a Ferrari too.
Right. You see the liability where everyone else
what
sees.
do I need that for?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. What's a Ferrari going to do? What that Ferrari does for that guy is it makes him feel bigger where he's small. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I don't need a Ferrari. I don't need that kind of stuff. But what I'd rather look at is like, can I take my family on vacation? Can I do things? Can I enjoy life? Like, or am I going to be strapped to working 6 days a week paying for my Ferrari? Right?
That's true. It's true. At what point, unless that person, of course, playing devil's advocate, unless of course that person is, maybe they're 65 years old. They've done everything that we're doing, right? But you're talking about the TikTokers, which I don't know why that's still a thing, right? Why is TikTok still a thing? But I guess that's a topic for another time. Your boy brought it back.
It's all right. Listen, TikTok has helped me in business. I think if you use TikTok for the right reasons, it can help you and help people identify you. But I think a lot of people use TikTok for the wrong reasons. And when TikTok shut down for a couple of days, I was like, you know what? Like, what are these people going to do? And if it really shut down, like a lot of people make all of their money, and that's their presence. What are they going to do? Because that's their social platform that they put their time into.
Right. Yeah.
I personally like Instagram. I try TikTok. I still do it. But I'm more into Instagram because I feel Instagram is more engaging.
Right. Yeah, I don't think the value is in the app itself, but how you utilize it, right?
Yeah.
Just like anything else. It's like how do you utilize your contacts? Your contacts are only worth as much as you could get out of them,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
How much can you capitalize on time spent with individuals like mentors
Yeah.
and whatnot? But I think a lot of people, what they fail to do is capitalize on time, right? And you said it earlier in a different podcast that people just want to sit home and watch TV, and then they complain that they're not getting anything done. Well, that 4 hours, 5 hours, an hour a night during the week that you're watching TV. In my house, there's always been a rule. No TV during the week, period. I don't care what's on. Doesn't matter unless it's like, the inauguration. That's an exception.
Yeah.
Politics, because we're all involved in politics one way or another. It affects our businesses, so it's kind of like work. But other than that, all these nonsense shows, Housewives of fucking New Jersey, I still don't understand the appeal. I don't.
I literally use a TV like at bedtime for like background noise because I need I can't sleep in silence. But yeah, I don't sit there and watch TVs. I don't sit there and watch shows. And I would much rather fall asleep with a book on my chest. You know what I mean? Than trying to watch a video. But people don't get that. They get tied into that. And listen, that's okay. It's something that they have to outgrow. But I think that's something.
Do you think that they outgrow it ever?
Some people will.
Some
people will.
Not the majority.
No, because people are too engaged with what other people are doing, and they look for enjoyment from other outlets versus themselves. Mm-hmm.
That's one of those. Again, that rule has been in effect for my house for I don't even know, 5, 6, 7 years now. And it was just one day. It's just like I came home, saw my girl watching TV, and I was like, what are you doing? You have all these things that you want to get done, and you're sitting here watching God knows what at the time. I have no idea. And then, decided to turn it off, and it changed everything for everyone in the household. I think at the time my brother was even living with me during COVID, and that's where I found God. So I guess he could partially thank me for that. He's not going to listen to this, so it doesn't really matter. But it's like, no, I found it on my own. But yeah, this shit's poison, man, and it's just a complete waste of time. And actually, it's nice to when you say these things and you have these conversations, even on the pod, off the pod, to actually make a material difference in somebody's life. Like my girl came over the other day, and I told her this rule time and time again, but I never really enforced it. That's on me. But I didn't really spend much time with her because I don't have much time. She came over last week. And I was like, do you want to watch something? Because that's what she likes to do. And she's like, no, you said no TV during the week. And I said, oh, wow. Holy shit. And then the next day, she went home and she made 50 calls or 40 calls outbound on cold leads for her real estate agency part of things.
Nice.
It's like, holy shit, you're making a material impact. And that's what Feel Good is. I guess that's why we do this, right?
Yeah. I think I try to get like people that I care about, I try to get them to like put podcasts on during the day. Like if you're working, you have something in your ear, put a podcast in, or listen. If you're going to listen to music that's like upbeat for your soul.
Right.
Like something that's going to like do something for you and help you identify who you are. Because I just think there's so much time and so much noise that goes through our head that it really helps us unfocus from what we need to focus on. But I think something that we should talk about to our viewers, because they don't really know us very well. You went through major like litigation with your ex-partner. Mm-hmm. I'm going through a major litigation right now. And I think, listen, let's be vulnerable, because I think at the end of the day, like our lives aren't great in business. We have adversity, we have challenges, we have shit we go through. We have so many things that we deal with on a daily basis, but we keep it internal and we deal with it the way we're supposed to deal with it, versus like letting the whole world know, like versus being a negative outlet to the world. But I think on the podcast, it'll be beneficial for the guests to know, like, oh yeah, I'm getting sued. Oh shit, I'm getting sued too. I was talking to a guy the other day. I went to an event, and I never go to events, but my buddy invited me. He was like, oh, come to this event. So we went to the event, and I was talking to this kid, and he's 30 years old. He's been in construction for like 10 years. He's like the last couple of years, he started getting sued. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, welcome to the rest of your life. You know what I mean? So he's like, it's fucking miserable. Like these people just suck. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. So talk about your situation. I mean, you had a partner. Talk about it. And
yeah,
what it did for you, because it drained you a little bit.
Oh, that was a tough time. That was definitely a tough time. And quite honestly, I didn't know how I was going to get through it, but I did find some channels that were extremely helpful, and I'll get into that. But one of the things that you did say, getting sued, it comes with owning a business, especially at scale, right? As soon as you get past that 1 million, 2 million mark, it's an inevitability, right? It has to happen at some point. And it's not necessarily your fault either, but understanding that you did, when you're in a position and you're doing the right things, then it's a lot easier to sleep at night. It's like, I don't lose sleep over that. We got sued 3 times in the last 7 years. So not a lot, but even when I got the paperwork in the mail, looked it over, and it's like, oh, this is actually has nothing to do with us, right? They're actually going after someone else who worked on the system, and they just want to subpoena all of our information, our reports, and so on and so forth. Even some people that name us as defendants, you get over it, right? You're just like, this is going to work out because we did everything that we can do to help this customer, and that's that. But as far as the litigation with my partner, my ex-partner, that was tough, right? We came to a crossroads at one point where, if we take it back to even how we got here, Solarmatics was formed in 2016 by my previous partner, at which time generated zero revenue, like $0.00, nothing. 2017 rolled around. The company that we were both working for shut its doors, and we went our separate ways, right? I went on to do what I call Solarpreneurship. I worked in different aspects of solar, did everything I can to make a buck because I just had bought a house at 25 years old, had no idea what the hell was going to pay the bills. Went out on my own and did exceptionally well. And then during this time, I moonlit as a personal trainer for my previous partner, and he asked for business advice. I helped him. Free of charge, of course. We were friends, and it basically didn't work out, right? He just couldn't execute on some of the things that I was, some of the guidelines that I was setting for him. So he said one day, "Hey, you want to partner?" Said, "Yeah, no problem." We partnered up, shook hands. Next week, we went on and built a business. That the first fiscal year, we made $1 million, and I said, "Oh shit, like this could actually be something now." Then what happened was I started realizing he didn't really bring a lot of value, and he was getting real lazy on a couple of things. And, when you're the one steering the ship, bringing in all the income, doing all the jobs, reviewing everything, ensuring that the team has everything that they need, increasing training, creating processes, systems, and you're doing everything, and the person's role is insignificant in comparison to the value of the operation in its whole, you realize, shit, like I can't do this forever. I can't have somebody ride my coattails forever. That's just going to bring the company down. So at that point, I made a decision that I was going to do something about it, and I made him an offer to take a different salary, a lower salary, and a smaller position in the company, and I would obviously pay him for that. And he basically told me to go fuck myself. And I said, I'm not the person to say, go fuck yourself to. I'm making you a very reasonable offer. Let's talk about it. He said, no, that's just not how it works. I said, okay. So I sued him and brought a bunch of things up to the courts. And, we almost went into litigation. We went into mediation, figured it out, but it took years, it took 2.5 years to settle that, and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But, there was a fear when I was going through it, like, oh shit, maybe I'm making the wrong decision. Maybe once he leaves, I'm going to lose a big portion that I'm not seeing right now. And maybe I'm just being so cocky. That maybe I'm making a mistake. But that's fear talking, right? It's like, maybe I did need him. Turns out that year, the year I got rid of him, we blew past our $2 million revenue goal, and the next year we did another 60% increase in revenue year over year. So it was a proof of concept for me, and that was the point where I said, okay, that was just fear talking. Thank God I pulled the trigger and I said, yeah, we got to do this now, because if not, I don't know where I'd be today. The company might be closed under partial leadership from somebody like himself.
Yeah, it's unique to go through that, but being able to grow through that is powerful because now you know that like any other thing comes around, dealing with employees that aren't doing what they got to do, it's a lot easier for you now
It is.
because it's always hard to like make that decision and make that move to get rid of anybody, even if it's just an employee. But once you go through a big situation like that, like for me, I had an employee who was really fucking me over, and I didn't really realize it until after I got rid of him, but I knew something was off. So back a few years ago, I had a little heart situation and episode. Doctor said, cool down. I built this nice company. Everything was good. I had no complaints, no nothing. And I had to take some time off, and I just kind of had a conversation. The guy was my project manager. I said, hey, will you take on some of the sales, and I'll give you a little commission, and we could work things out. Yeah, no problem. The commission sheet like literally fucking skyrocketed in like 3 months from like paying this guy a couple $1,000s a month to like I owe him 20 something $1,000 in commissions.
Wow.
The jobs are failing. There's not enough money in the jobs. Subs are like not getting paid because there's not enough money. The budget sheets are gone. They're charging more than was originally charged. So I'm like, yeah, well, what was the budget? If the budget was 3,000, this guy's charging 6,000. Like, how are we paying him that? Where's that coming from? And he knew that he took advantage of my situation, and he did it for financial reasons. So I just really started to realize something was going on, and finally had the balls to say, you know what, fuck this guy. Like, I got to get rid of him. And then after I got rid of him, I realized that he was plotting against me for everything that he was doing. He was like literally setting himself up to be the hero when he was the project manager. These jobs were failing. These jobs were underbid. I had to finish these jobs. There's not enough money in these jobs. People are pissed. I don't have these relationships with customers. That's not my job. Just like you, you don't have relationships with some of your customers.
No.
You have people in place to do that. So when you're blaming me to the customer, they don't know any different, but it's really you. And he literally set up this like entire thing. And I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. Literally, I have depositions coming up with him and just about this. But it's so draining, bro. But at the end of the day, like, I'll figure it the fuck out, Like, it is what it is. This is one of the reasons why, like, I like being in business because of the freedom, because of the ability to do what you want to do. But I don't like being in certain businesses because of like maybe the control that the state has over you. Like we live in a state that sucks.
New Jersey sucks.
And the consumer's always right. You're looked at like a piece of shit by the state, and we're treated like a piece of shit. So at the end of the day, like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I know that I did the right thing, but it's caused such a burden in the last 2 years in the company and such financial stress. But what am I going to do? Become paralyzed? Like, I just got to do what I got to do. Doing podcasts, doing this, doing that. Like, I'm not going to stop my everyday life.
Got to keep going.
The outcome is the outcome. And we talked to, we had a guest on a few episodes ago, talking about faith. I have my faith. Like, listen, what's going to happen is going to happen. And, the enemy's not going to attack me because I know that I'm protected, and it's going to work out the way it's going to work out. So I do stress a little bit about it sometimes, but then I think back to like, it's out of my control. But I think it's natural for a business owner to stress about it. People go, oh, I got a guy suing me for 100,000. Yeah, well, how about if someone suing you for $1 million? How about if someone suing you for 10 million? So, like your problem is so small. I wish I was getting sued for 50,000. That's easy. But the higher you climb and the greater you try to be, it's the bigger risk.
Yeah, more people try to take you down.
Everyone tries to take you down.
Take advantage and get something
Everyone's
out of you.
shooting you
For sure.
from a distance, and the closer they get, they're always trying to pin you.
They
That's
are,
the way it goes.
and it's never going to stop. If there's any moral to this conversation, at least the end part, it's if you're thinking about getting rid of somebody, then get rid of them now. Because they're just going to be more expensive down the line. I know personally, I wish I did in the very beginning. I wish I said, you know what, I need you gone now. I probably would have saved $200,000.
Yeah.
The best savings of my life. But, again, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, at the end of the day, listen, it's as an employee, you're going to have a stress of As an employee, you're going to have a stress of...
It's that one? Okay, it's filled up. Okay. As an employee, you're going to start there.
All right. So as an employee, you're going to have the stress of, I don't have enough money. There's too much week at the end of the money. Inflation. My stuff's not catching up. So you're going to have that kind of stress in your life, and you're never going to be able to catch up. Unless you're super smart about your finances, which is very, very few people, you're not going to be able to catch up. But when you're a business owner, like, you have the ability to do so much more, but the risk is so much higher.
Right.
The reward is greater, the risk is higher, but it's a mental toughness that most people will not be able to deal with because of that instant gratification, you know. And it's something that I deal with every day. Like, people, like, even my employees over the years, like, dude, I fucking wish I had your problems. You're going to complain about that? I wish I had your problems. Like, you know, sometimes it's hard for us to pay our guys. Like, we're waiting on so much money, whatever it is, and like, we're scraping from our ass to do what we can, but they don't see that. No. You know, it's never good enough from an employee standpoint. It's never good enough. And, oh, you got a nice car, man. You know, you got this, but I work fucking 8 times more than you.
Right.
You know, and my car's not that nice. It's just an average
just
car.
A little bit nicer
I'm
than
not
yours.
a fucking helicopter. Yeah. I'm not coming to work in a helicopter. You know, but this is just the way people think. And again, like, it's not adaptable to people who don't want to go through the motion, people who don't want to build a resilient mindset, people who don't want to go out there and know that if you want to be different, you have to learn different, teach different, and act different, because any other way, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and you know, you're saying this is the life that we chose, more or less, right? And the way I'm visualizing it is it's just peak, and the mountain goes up and up, and you know, you're standing at the top of it, and everything's growing. You're just, you know, going above the clouds, and as you continue to grow in height, that point at which you're standing on gets thinner and thinner and thinner. So the more you look over the edges, is more trouble. It's more stress, more danger. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to end. You know, I had a conversation this morning. Well, actually, I made a statement. I forgot who it was, but I said, you know, I can't wait for the morning that I wake up worry-free. You know, and then I thought about it some more. It's like, shit, that's a long fucking time from now, but it's something to look forward to, right? We do all this right now. We put our bodies and minds through a tremendous amount of stress in order to get to that pinnacle of success where worry is not a thing. Freedom of time is of our choosing, and, you know, money is not an object.
Yeah, we'll worry for the rest of our lives because we're going to have obligations to other people besides ourselves.
True.
So we'll always worry about things, but I think the worry won't last. We'll be able to shake it off. So I talk about a lot of times is like recovery time. Like when something bothers you or something doesn't go right, you know, people get stuck in that place. Maybe it's for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Like, as you get more groomed in entrepreneurship, you're just kind of like, fuck it. Fuck
exactly.
It. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You just kind of like go through it because you got to go with the punches. You know, sometimes we get blasted and that shit hurts, but you got to just keep going. You know, you got people to feed, you got things to do. And it's just not for the person who wants to do average and think average. Mm-hmm. You know, so what I found in, 26 years of business is that everyone I've ever talked to that has had a job has never been satisfied to the point where they're super happy with where they are. Unless they're in a company that they're milking the shit out of the company and they're making money doing what they want to do. Some people always want more and always want to do more, but they just don't want to do it, and they almost want to feel like they receive it. So,
it was nice chopping it up with you, Dan. It was a pleasure. I hope we get to do it again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Anything for our guests?
No, that's it, guys. Listen, if you're going through it, just keep going through it, and just know that, you know, adversity builds champions, and adversity is something that you're going to go through every day. You want to be successful, you got to go out there and realize you're not going to fight the norm. So if you're not following us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music, go ahead and do so. We appreciate you guys.
And then one more thing. If you have any questions or comments or any topics that you want us to cover, please give us a shout, intrepidusmovement.com. Leave us a message, contact us. We greatly appreciate it.